Hi there, we're continuing on with Mark chapter 12 from verse 18 to 27. Then the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him with a question. Teacher, they said, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies and leaves a wife with no children, the man must marry the widow and have children for his brother. Now there are 7 brothers. The first one married and died without leaving any children. The second one married the widow, but he also died leaving no child. It was the same with the third. In fact, none of the 7 had any children. Last of all, the woman died too. At the resurrection, whose wife will she be, since the 7 were married to her? Jesus replied, Are you not in error because you do not know the scriptures or the power of God? When the dead rise, they will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. Now about the dead rising, have you not read in the book of Moses, in the account of the bush, how God said to him, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. You are badly mistaken. Now that is a very difficult verse for someone like me who is married. And Jesus goes, well, when we're done here, marriage doesn't kind of happen anymore. No one will be getting married. No one will be in marriage. I don't understand that passage. And I don't have many great words on it, but I thought it's not good to leave out a passage. Although I think I might have done so before. But the point is, what I like about that passage is kind of the conclusion of it. God is not the God of the dead, He's the God of the living. And so I want to focus on that. I think I'll put this all into my big folder set of God is love and God is justice. And so what happens later, God says it will be great. God says it will be good. God says it will be amazing. It will be perfection. So if I am not married in the context of what is to come, it is not going to be something that bothers me, because we're going to be so taken up by God, with God and who He is. And so I don't need to read that with fear or with trepidation, like, oh, it's going to suck because I'm not going to be married to Val, whatever it is. Both me and Val are going to be in a place of just amazingness and perfection and brilliance. And so for some people that might be too much, but I hinge it on the fact that I trust God and that I trust that He does what's best and that I trust that He does what's good and what's loving. And so that makes it easy for me. But I do like that part at the end. God is the God of the living, not the God of the dead. I think it's important for us to remember those who have died. It is important to learn from their example. It's important for us to celebrate and to share stories, but to focus on those who are alive and to look at how do we live out the life that God has called us to? How do we acknowledge God to those that are living? How are we demonstrating God? How are we being a fragrance of Jesus to those that are in conditions around us that maybe aren't so great and aren't as great as they're going to be one day when we die? God is the God of the living. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for me today? That's certainly something to think about.